My dear friends from Team 20U, I'm super excited to be speaking to you today and doing this video so you guys can get to know my personal story, why we started this group, this community, and most importantly, so you guys can feel and understand and see that if somebody like me can change, you guys can do it too. And I've seen it all the time. God has truly blessed me with the opportunity to be in a lot of people's transformations. If you guys watch the clients' testimonials, their stories and their videos, you're going to see a bunch of different people that we've been able to help, and it's been freaking awesome. But I do believe in my life, the biggest transformation that I've been able to see, it's been probably my own story, and that's exactly what I want to share with you guys today. You know, if you follow me on Instagram or YouTube or whatever, you see a lot of the stuff that I post that I'm kind of like in your face, pretty bold, and MMA, fighting, social media content, and all these different things. And it's been awesome. You know, I moved to the States about 4 years ago, and I've been able to achieve a lot of my personal dreams. Like, this country has given me so much opportunity. But the thing that a lot of people don't see is where I started. You know, that those things were not, I wasn't born gifted. I wasn't born with all this, with the following, or with the gift of speaking, or communication, or helping people, or all these different things. And that's exactly what I want to talk with you guys, just to show you that if somebody as messed up as me, if somebody with the background that I had and with the things that I've struggled with a lot of my life can do the stuff that I'm doing right now, you can do it too. And I want to teach you how to do it. And that's exactly why we started Team 20U, so you guys can have all the resources, the tools, the community, and our help, so you guys can fulfill your purpose, become the man that God created you to be. You can become a true leader and have some ripple effect in other people, in your family, in your friends, and the people around you, and you can truly make a difference in this world and have more impact. So I want to start with my journey a couple of years ago. You know, I was raised, if you guys don't know, but I'm from Chile. A lot of people don't even know where Chile is, that's in South America. And I was born in a small town with like 80,000 people. And throughout my life, I would say that it was very just by myself. I went through a lot of just challenges of, I'm the fifth of six. All of my siblings, they're way older than me, and they left the house and everything. And, you know, I come from a lot of stuff in my household, a lot of contention, stuff with my dad. And, you know, my parents just got divorced a couple of years ago, and it was very tough growing up. But again, I was very alone. I think kind of like had to learn a lot of stuff by myself and become mature, because I didn't have that father figure or whatever kind of like guiding me through. So that was hard. I was very kind of like out of shape. I didn't have a lot of purpose, or I was kind of soft. I was very emotional because I was raised more by my mom's side. You know, it was, maybe you guys can relate, but I was very in tune with kind of like my feminine side of being just soft, emotional, sensitive, would cry a lot, and a lot of things would get under my skin. And I didn't realize until like I was later on my 20s that my relationship with my dad affected me a lot. You know, there's been stages in my life too that I've just chased women, money, views, attention, followers, and, you know, it wasn't very fulfilling. And if you also have seen my TEDx talk that I speak on this thing, and you can ask me and I can send it to you, but in 2017, I almost ended my life because I really struggled with just my identity and how I saw myself and my worth. There was like a lot of things going on as well throughout that period of my life. And I'm just saying all this stuff, guys, because, you know, I've struggled a lot. And that's why I feel like I've been able to help a lot of people throughout my life, because I understand pain very well. I understand loneliness pretty well. I understand just the opposite of joy and all these amazing things pretty well. I'm very acquainted with pain, and it's been kind of like a huge blessing, but also it's been freaking tough. You know, the suicidal thing is something I've struggled my whole life, like the whole worth and self-doubt and all these different things, and just being by myself. So that was me growing up, a very insecure kid. A lot of these things that I haven't figured out, and it wasn't until, well, I'll tell you what happened for what I am today, but now it's like, for me, where I'm in life right now, being able to truly, most important than anything, have a strong relationship with my Creator, with my Heavenly Father. And I do believe that a lot of stuff in my life comes because I know how to talk with them and I know how he talks to me. And it's been one of the biggest skills that I've been able to make and to develop. Because when you know how God talks to you and when you receive revelation, dude, that gives you a level of confidence that it's unmatched. And that's something that it's been a huge blessing in my life. Being able to receive revelation, miracles, visions, dreams about my life and all these different things. And Hunter and I were always chasing big things and improving and increasing our faith and thinking big and acting big. You know, I've been able to inspire thousands, if not millions of people through my content and social media, podcasts, public speaking. It's been amazing. Now we're building this amazing online community with you guys. And I was at a stage in my life that when I was running ultramarathons, 50, 100 milers, Ironman, triathlons. Now I got into mixed martial arts and always just pushing myself physically, mentally, and leading other people, servicing the church, outside of the church, and truly living a life of purpose to impact people's lives. I think one of the biggest things that I'm very proud of is also being able to break your generational cycles and heal from past stuff and having no more insecurities than in that you're confident in how you show up and who you are, the good and the bad, which before I didn't have that. Like I was very insecure when it comes to those things. Had a lot of walls and everything. You know, having been able to have great friendships and truly connect with people and people that I know that I matter to them and they love me, and it's the same way, vice versa, but truly experience fulfillment. And this on a weekly basis when I see people are like, Ben, you changed my life, Ben, this, I don't know how to thank you. And it's been one of the best things ever. That I truly feel that God created me to experience that feeling. And again, I'm not saying that I have everything figured out because I don't. But I've been able to go from that Ben that I told you guys in the beginning to this Ben that it is right now. And thankfully, and thanks to God, I've been able to help a lot of people go from the same point A to point B because I was able to build myself and understand that there's certain things that have to happen in the middle for you to go from point A to point B. And that's the question, you know, what happened? Like, how can you turn somebody from this very low self-esteem, self-worth, suicidal, messed up background, alone, broken inside, divorced parents, a lot of contention growing up, chasing material things, money, views, and like all those things to now? How do you create the self-awareness? How do you make those changes? And that's exactly what I want to share with you guys. Now, I want to tell you kind of like what happened in my life, but just so you know, a lot of the stuff that I'm going to teach you in this video so you guys can apply these things and get that your own transformation. Guys, we're giving you all the resources for free. I'm going to teach you in this video, but it's also in the 20U program and in the fitness program. Everything is there because we truly want to give you everything right now so you guys can have a transformation. Like I just want you guys to get better. Like that's where I get my fulfillment and joy is just seeing you guys change. So for me, one of the first things that happened is in 2017 when I almost ended my life. I was such a dark period of my life, and I read the scriptures, and I cannot remember what I prayed, but I remember it was one of the first times in 18 years that I truly felt God's love for me and that I mattered and that he believed in me. Guys, that feeling saved my life. It was amazing. And as I kept moving forward and just not quitting and holding on to that feeling, in 2019, I had a conversation with somebody that I would say this has been the most eventful, like ripple effect event in my life that truly inspired and ignited a lot of change. Because I was living in Uruguay at the time, and I was gonna go back to Chile to my house, and I didn't know what to do to study or school, whatever. And it was the time that I truly found my purpose. And if you watch the 20 program, I go in depth, but I had a conversation with a woman that I really look up to, and she asked me two questions. Ben, who are you? And Ben, why are you here? And she invited me to take those questions to God and ask God, because I needed to remember who's Ben in a spiritual way. And I truly believe this, that you guys, you were somebody before. Now, we don't remember, and that's one of the purposes of life, how we can create these experiences so we can remember who we were before so we can become this person. So that's the most important knowledge you guys can acquire, is remember things about yourself. And that's what I did. And in 2019, I found my purpose. And that's the whole purpose of 20U, is that for me, I was 20 and then the word U stands for urgency. So once you find your purpose, once you remember who you are, live with urgency and focus and intention every single day so you can fulfill that person and that vision and that purpose and become that person that God created you to be. So that's the whole story behind that happened. It was amazing. And another thing that happened that ignited change is, a couple of years ago, I realized that, and maybe you guys can relate with your own family, that sometimes parents and families in general, they don't do a lot of work internally. And they carry a lot of generational trauma and their own demons and their own dirt. And they always pass it on to the next generation and then the next generation. It literally runs on our DNA. And for me, I made a conscious decision a couple of years ago, and I said, you know what? My dad, his dad was an alcoholic, would beat the living crap out of my grandma, cheated, and all these different things. And they passed all that stuff into my dad, and my dad never fixed his own demons and his own stuff. He did the best he could, and I love him to death. On my mom's side, my grandpa committed suicide when he was 42, 43. He had a lot of trauma. He had a lot of things that he didn't fix. Same thing with his wife. And they passed all these things into my mom, and cancer and divorce and all these different things. And then they passed that on to all of us. And I made the conscious decisions a couple of years ago, and I said to myself, this ends with me. I'm passing this stuff to anybody else. And I'm going to do the internal work required so I can show up as my best version of Ben, as a leader, as a future father, husband, partner, friend, brother, son, whatever I am today, because I don't want to pass my own stuff to anybody, my future kids. And I really want to, everything ends with me and starts with me. So I made that conscious decisions, and it's been one of the biggest, most important changes I've made. A couple of years ago, one of my friends, and this is exactly what we're going to do with you guys, but a couple of years ago, one of my friends, he called me, he's like, Ben, I'm trying to do more hard things and change and, physical challenges and whatnot. And I was doing like 100 milers, 50 milers, and all these different things at the time, so he's always like hitting me up. He's like, I know you do a lot of hard things physically, and I wanted to ask you, what would you recommend for me to do? You know what I told him? I was like thinking about it, and I said, bro, I think you should work on your emotions, on your internal aspect. And he's like, well, what do you mean? Well, at the time, this dude got divorced. He was like 23 or something. He was going through a lot of things. But I think for men, a lot of the stuff that we do is, physical stuff, endurance, whatever, kind of like to avoid facing these things. And I told him, you know what's the hardest thing I've done? All that races that I've done with broken foot, messed up meniscus, miles and miles, 15-hour races, it wasn't that hard, to be honest. Like MMA, fighting, I'd have a broken toe, I'll still train, and I can do it. I think for men, we can endure a lot of pain. But the hardest thing I've done in my life was facing my inner demons, the things that my cycles that when it came from my parents, and truly relying on people. For a long time, for 24 years, I've believed that it's only God and myself, and you cannot rely and trust in no one. Because a lot of people have disappointed me, and that's been my experience, and maybe that's been the experience for you guys. But when I turned 25, there was a conflicting belief inside of me that said, Ben, you don't have to do life alone. And I couldn't freaking be like, okay, but this is all I've known for 24 to 25 years, but this, whatever. And then I started facing all that stuff, and I do believe as men, the hardest thing we can do is work on those internal aspects in our relationship with God, in our relationship with ourselves, facing our dark side, our scars. And I want to invite you guys to stop running away. And guys, I've been in both spectrums. I was raised soft, emotional, sensitive. Everything would get under my skin. And I took it to the extreme, to the other side, that I was freaking all David Goggins style, running hundreds of miles and for freaking multiple hours and broke and all this stuff and tough, but I wouldn't feel a thing. But I realized I was still broken inside. And as men, we have a duty and role to provide, to lead, and to protect people. But how you show up, how you connect matters a lot too. And that's what we're here to help you guys. You can have both. You're going to fulfill your duties and responsibilities and role as a man, but also I want you guys to perform better. I want you guys to show up as the father, as the husband, as the brother, as the son, as the leader that God created you to be. And you cannot do that if you keep running away from the things you fear, that you're scared of, and the things you're avoiding. I know I've done a lot of my life. But it's enough. And that's why you join this group. It's not just men's group or freaking we're going to be nice with each other. No, we're going to push each other. High love, but we're going to have high expectation because the world needs it. I've seen in my life how God has been able to work through somebody as messed up as me. I've seen with all the weaknesses and imperfections that I have, a regular kid from a regular country, from a regular background. And if he can use me to be an instrument in his hands and impact people's lives for the better, he can definitely use you. And that's my purpose, guys. And that's why I'm making this video, just to show you that we're here for you. Everything that you need in order to succeed in life, it's inside those courses that we've done. And I wish I would have had this earlier in my life. It would have saved me probably a lot of time and how I show up with myself and attract beautiful things and create beautiful things and just feel amazing and fulfilled and that I have no regrets in life. And I think a lot of men, and maybe a lot of you guys, you do have a lot of regrets and you do know that there's a lot of things that you could be doing more and that you have so much left to give that you're not doing and you're holding your back. You're holding those things back. But enough is enough. This is the moment when you wake up. When you become the man and the leader that God intended you to be. My purpose of why God created me is to help you figure out who you are, remember who you are, and give you guys the tools and the resources so you can become that person. That's it. That's my agenda. That's all I care. So, guys, if you were able to relate to this, if this is something that touched you, as I said, everything is there. You can do it by yourself. It's literally designed for you to do it by yourself if you follow the courses, if you follow the workouts, if you follow the game plan and everything. And again, I just want to make sure that you guys know that we're available for you if you need tools and resources and help. At the end of each course, each module, there's a calendar. There's a link. You guys can schedule a call with myself and Hunter so we can see if you guys were a good fit for each other, but also if you guys need help. And again, there's no agenda when it comes to this stuff. As I said in the beginning, our only purpose is for you guys to become that man and leader that God intended you to be. If we can do it, you can definitely do it. All the resources are there, but if you want to learn more and receive more specific help and personalized instruction, and if you're committed to the process, if you're coachable, if you're willing to change and to be held accountable by different things, by myself and Hunter, click that link down below and you can schedule a call and we can see where you're at, what you want in life, what's holding you back, and we can create a specific blueprint and a specific game plan according to those principles from the modules so you guys can have a specific time of change. And I know changing is hard. I've paid a lot of money and I've done a lot of things to have people walk with me, and that's exactly what we want to do with you. Walk with you every step of the way if you guys are committed. So anyway, hopefully this video you guys can relate. If you have any question for me or Hunter or Bendix or whatever, please reach out. I love you guys. I hope we can connect in the retreats that we're going to do and in the challenges that we're going to do. Stay active and engaged. And if you have any questions, please reach out. God bless you, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.